Hello everyone and welcome to Neo Racing League for the round 3 of the season. We are here in Spain for at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya for tonight in another epic race. The other Mercedes is currently on the lap now. We currently have JPS going through Sector 3. Can the sprint race winner in Abu Dhabi take pole position for the Spanish Grand Prix? He's got a bit of time to find as we go round the final corner. One final time for the Mercedes, up to the line. P1, 11.9. Can anyone top it? The provisional pole man of JPS is in prime position with that lap time. Gary Gator currently on a lap, half a second up on heading through the exit of Sector 2. Now, he got to make a couple more attempts here through the final part of the lap, going through the penultimate corner, through the final corner. How much does he dare lift, if at all? Up towards the line. He doesn't. 12.2. He loses a tenth in that final sector, and the Sauber has to settle for P3 at the very least. Meanwhile, we've got Speed Queen currently on a lap, half a second up. That at the moment is enough to get the topple. The Mercedes of JPS just needs to keep it clean now. Up towards the line, through the final corner. Where does the McLaren go? And that's fast as 11.7, a tenth and a half quicker than the Mercedes, and takes pole position, I believe it will be, for the Spanish Grand Prix. I don't think anyone else is on a lap, and that is that session done. So anyway, we're going to get ready for the race to 3, 4, 5 red lights for the Neo Racing League Spanish Grand Prix for round 3. And it's lights out, and away we go. We have zero camera angle here to see anything that goes off the line. There we go, Gary Gator into P2. Got one of the other Saubers on the grass. We go down towards turn 1. Speed Queen keeps the lead ahead of Gary Gator. JPS has dropped down to P3. Rupsi Cola into P4. Parkster puts into P5 with Nutria down to P7, dropping behind Rampant Gamer and the other Sauber. We're going to go down towards turn 4 now. We've got side-by-side action between Vuckel, who started in last place, and Nutria in the McLaren, who's dropped a couple places. Can the Red Bull on the soft pound of tyres get by? No, he cannot. But he's now coming under pressure from Marchmeister in P8. But the Haas is still side by side, but unfortunately better traction from the Red Bull means he has to sit right back behind. But a little bit of a crazy opening lap. We're going to go down towards Sector 3 now. Can Gary Gator get his way by into turn 10? Turn 10. Lock up there from the McLaren. That is not going to help you very early on. But the Sauber is all over the back of Speed Queen right now.
Gary using all the grip of those soft tyres right from the get-go. That's what he had. That's such a good launch off the line and was able to get past JPS and sat just within the slipstream there. Now what's going to happen? So he's got the slipstream on Speed Queen. Speed Queen has no slipstream at all. It's gaining. Goes to the outside. Can he do anything under braking? It looks like he's made the move stick. He's made the move stick all the way past the apex. Speed Queen now just got to settle into that dirty air, unfortunately. But Gary Gator's not going to be able to go too far on those softs, but it depends how well he looks after them. It can be a possible one stop on those softs, looking at around laps 13 to 14 on those softs, and a couple of laps later for the mediums to hards. But let's see what happens.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, you've got a long way to go in this race, and Gary Gator on those softs, he's got to be careful. And there's other Sauber, Parkster, he's round, he's out of the session. Crash gate question mark, because safety car supported, which will probably get him close to that pit window. And Gary's actually left the session. Gary has left the session.
Gaz,
what's happened here, Gaz?
Gary, get back in.
This is not. To be fair, this could cause a little bit of chaos off the start because I don't know how to restart him online. So there.
Dear.
Here we go. We're going to see whether the Sauber's AI can do anything, but it's going to be very much game, set, and match here because Speed Queen will be trying to get by. We'll basically be able to ghost through him within the.
He's going to be ghosted.
So this Sauber is basically a sitting duck and potential to fall through the field. Parks' sacrifice is now all for nothing.
Unlucky
Gary, but even if he might be able to join back in. But we'll see how it gets on. He goes green now, but for how long? as the we'll now wait for Speed Queen to get by. It's just it's just going to be a moment waiting to happen. But JPS is all over the back of the McLaren as the Sauber is just going to drop like a fly as he drops through
It's
the field.
inevitable, isn't it?
Yeah, most inevitable.
Absolutely inevitable.
We can't even make anything of that bit. So now he's gone. We can now make something of this. Speed Queen leads the way. JPS P2, Rubsy Cola P3, Ramper Gamer P4, Nutria P5. As we go through Sector 2 now, can the Mercedes get back by? I believe there's a bit of contact there further down the field. But it's now... that is damage, actually. We've got damage there for Rubsy Cola. And now the Ferrari is actually sliding now. That's going to allow Nutria through around the outside of turn 9. Question mark. He does so, but there's a bit of contact mid-corner. And that's forced to McLaren. And that's caused more crashes. And it's got absolute chaos caused by the Ferrari and the McLaren's contact. And that has ended up in Nutria with full set of front wing damage. That's Rubsy Cola in P3, Ramper Gamer P4. Those two have dropped back a little bit of the way, so it's now become a two-way fight between the McLaren and the Mercedes. It looked like it in qualifying. It's now going to be a race-long battle between the two. The Mercedes DRS overtakes him by, and Speed Queen drops down to P2. So we're now going to go down the straight. Can the Mercedes defend? Can the McLaren get close enough this time? Does the McLaren want to make this into a battle? He does want to make this into a battle. Can we go up the inside? Speed Queen down the inside goes to McLaren, takes the lead away from JPS once more. Tied there from an undercut perspective isn't as much. I would certainly take the opposite strategy. The Mercedes trying to make a move now ahead of Speed Queen. There's flip-flopping positions here, but the Mercedes takes the lead once more ahead of the McLaren.
Most of the time I'd rather be ahead. I'd rather be making that decision, and because quite often if you enter the pits first, you will lead the pits first. There you go. Speed Queen has pulled the pin. He's coming into the pits now, was behind and decided to go for that undercut move. Probably quite a clever move there because he'd been overtaken by JPS. Didn't want to necessarily push those tyres anymore. And there's a nice bit of clean air here. So going out on those hards again, Speed Queen will be able to make some good inroads on JPS. It could potentially get a good undercut window here.
JPS now would be looking to come into the pits. Yes, he does, as the Mercedes dives in once more. Where does he come out in comparison to Speed Queen?
I think it could be a little bit of a feisty one on the exit. I think coming into turn 1, surely that McLaren's going to be ahead. That McLaren now coming around the last corner now. If we're hopefully in a minute, we're going to get an overhead camera, so we'll be able to see where that McLaren is. Oh, where's it going to be? The Mercedes is now coming out on track. They're going to be surely quite close to each other. Actually, Jay has had a really good in-lap there.
And these two slowly, surely, are closing down that gap between this guy Neo, the teammate of JPS no less, and Vuckel. Meanwhile, battle for P5, as we go side by side through turn 1 and 2 and 3. There's contact! And there's a massive load of contact, and both of them are in the wall. Is that safety car? That is a safety car, and that is a Ramper Gamer out of the race. Marchmeister might have some damage to boot. And that is absolute travesty for the Ferrari.
We've got the Red Bull and the second Mercedes on those fresh, hard tyres right behind those hard runners. So instead of a two-way battle for the lead, it could become a four-way battle very easily.
Yeah, it very much could be. Marchmeister's got a lot of worry from drivers behind now. Because he's on those hards compared to the mediums. But when does JPS pull the pin? Because it's at the moment whether so now when does JPS pull the pin? Because at the moment it looks like he's going to go now. Yeah, he's going to go now because it's it really matters because you've got this long straight,
Oh, check
and
the Red
that's
Bull.
actually that has caused a massive loss in terms of speed, Queen, because he's now going to go side by side with the Red Bull. Buckle pulls out of it, but Gary Gator is going to go for a move here for P5, and that Sauber is looking feisty at this point because he's got a lot to prove after. A lot to gain after that disconnection early on in the race. Buckle, Speed Queen, side by side. Is the Red Bull on the mediums going to get by the McLaren? This is allowing the Mercedes to pull away a little bit more as they go side by side. Around the outside goes the Red Bull. Could the Buckle get the lead? The last race Ferrari driver has just moved his way into P2. That Red Bull looking and sniffing and hunting for that first race win of his as we go down the straight towards turn 1. He goes, picks the outside line. JPS gave him the choice, but it's not even into the braking point. He makes the move stick. As now we're going to see Gary Gator and Ropsy Cola go side by side. Gary Gator tries to push him out. However, the Williams gets him, gets onto the grass, and there's a bit of contact there. And Gary will drop out of the points. And lucky for him, he hasn't ended up in the ball, but he does have damage now, and it's down into P9. The Red Bull Buckle tries, will now lead the way onto lap 25. He will have the to defend though, as the Mercedes of JPS gets closer and closer down towards turn 1, and JPS takes the lead once more.
Because if they can, that's a guaranteed podium, I feel like.
Yeah, it could absolutely be a very a guaranteed podium. So here we go. David got a 3-second time penalty there. Down the inside goes Buckle. It's going to not be an easy move. DRS move this time, though, as JPS defends that one. But he's going to come back at him. The Red Bull tries to come back. There's a little bit of contact mid-corner. But this opens the door for Speed Queen. Going down towards turn 4. Can the McLaren get by? He has to back out as the Red Bull breaks later. But going to come back at him now. Can the McLaren get by? Down around the outside for turn 5. Bit of contact mid-corner, though. But it's only Robbie into racing, but now down through turn 6 into TV3, and now can I'm never going to be able to say this again after this race, but into TV3, Speed Dick Queen gets into P2, and that on an older and harder set of tyres shows the pace of the McLaren.
Maybe they've just been nursing the tyres a little bit more so they can have a little bit more pace towards the end of the stint, and maybe they've just been toying with us a little bit because those two hard runners are back at the front again. That's not what we expected.
Yeah, absolutely not. We thought we were going to struggle a little bit more in comparison to the Red Bull and the Mercedes, but this guy now is closer to the Red Bull of Buckle as they go down towards turn 1. This could really help out the two in front as this guy Neo moves up into the podium places in an excellent move there, and he makes it stick on the Red Bull. Rupsi Kola moves up. It remains in P5 of Hamlet, despite having a bit of pressure from Hamlet Kenny, but it's not going to be over there for the podium places. The Red Bull Buckle goes down the inside into turn 4 and makes the move stick and retakes that position. These drivers are starting to get on aging tyres, both the hards and the mediums beginning to degrade, so that pace difference has certainly gone out the window. It's just now who can manage the traction correctly. Down a straight once more. Here comes Buckle. Down the inside, going to go almost 3 wide into the first corner. And now Red Bull almost made a move on both drivers. But unfortunately, it was squeezed too much to the inside. We're going to go round the final corner. It's going to be a half-a-second gap. That Mercedes has made quite a big gap there. And it actually is a lot closer between Buckle and this guy Neo. However, the McLaren is going to get sore by for the race lead. And is that the race winning move as the McLaren goes a bit wide into turn 1. This is going to open up turn 2 and turn 3 for the Mercedes, who's trying to get back at the McLaren for one last time, and it's going to unfortunately not be his day because the McLaren managed to defend that. Just can Speed Queen get defend anymore? As JPS tries to go up the tries to make a switchback move, but unfortunately unable to do so. There's a bit of contact there between a couple of the drivers there, and now Speed Queen leads the way, but it is so close between the two. as we go round turn 9, one final time. Can the McLaren defend the Mercedes to the outside to try and make a move? Oh, swoops around the outside, bit of contact there, and that might cause Speed Queen to lose P2. It does so, and Vuckel makes his way into P2, and McLaren drops down to P3, potentially P4, as this guy Neo all over the back of the McLaren. This will be JPS taking race victory in round 3, ahead of Vuckel, ahead of Speed Queen, ahead of this guy Neo. Ripsicola in P5. Gary Gale comes home P6 on penalties. Marchmeister P7 with David and Handflap Kelly in P8 and P9.
After Stewart's reports, it was found that Jay picked up a 5-second time penalty. He appealed this down to a 3-second, and so he ended up finishing P4. This means that now Shoot Fizz holds the lead at the top. Originally, JPS had actually closed that gap down to level on 37, despite Fizz not racing. But Fizz holds that lead, 37 points ahead of Vakuli in second after his first race victory in the Neo Racing League on 31. Jay in third on 27, closely followed by Gary in fourth. Rupsikola in fifth, and that guy even this guy, Neo, in sixth. Then it's Marchmeister, Bomvia, Speed Queen on her debut, and then David rounding out the top 10. Looking at the Teams Championship as well, Mercedes take the Constructors' lead, with Aston Martin sitting in second, just 6 points behind Sauber. Almost half of Mercedes' points haul already after just a few rounds of this season, with Williams in fourth, just behind by 1 point. Then it's Haas and RB, before Alpine, Red Bull, McLaren, and then Ferrari, who are yet to get a point on the board.